right now we're in quote unquote Trump's America. Yes. How has journalism for you changed, especially over this last year?
So I think that we have dealt with, we're learning to deal with an unprecedented level of hostility, and there have been people who have reported in difficult circumstances before, and the Nixon White House, of course, was kind of hostile and had animosity toward the press, but we have not seen anything of the level that we've seen in the past month, and also a kind of populist movement that simply disregards information that doesn't complement it. And so that's been very challenging for people in this era. Also the proliferation of information that people are calling now fake news. And so that's one of the things we have to grapple with too.
Yes.
So a lot of challenges.
Yeah. But we're also seeing a lot of marginalized voices coming to the forefront.
Right.
So
Certainly.
do you think that's a good thing, or are you
That's
excited?
always a good thing, and then it's also consistent with the history of this country that when we've had these challenging moments, we've had people who are willing to step up and add their voices to to a conversation that really would be bereft without them. And so I think that's certainly what I've tried to do in my work, and I think that there are lots of my peers and colleagues who I think have been doing amazing work in this time period as well.
Yes. And what do you think the most thing to keep in mind right now as we're moving forward and trying to move toward a quote unquote better America?
I think it's the kind of fundamental idea is like what we've talked about is a lot of partisanship and a lot of kind of disagreement between people of like, I'm liberal and I'm conservative and so on. But the fundamental idea of what is good for democracy, and I think that's a question that we're not actually grappling with. It's so much like two opposing teams that are trying to put up the most points on the scoreboard. But my concerns, and certainly my concerns about this presidency, are not about partisan questions. They're about the viability and the continued strengthening of American democratic institutions or not, making people who are vulnerable even more so, or making people who are on the margins even more outsiders. Those are things I think that are real concerns and real dangers that we have to oppose at every turn if we really believe in democracy.
Can you just talk a little bit about some of the women that you see right now that are really, really doing great work, in your opinion?
Well, Linda Sarsour, who is a Muslim activist who I continue to be impressed with, and she's been really much at the foreground of organizing. She was involved with the Women's March that happened, and also Alicia Garza and her co-founders in Black Lives Matter. Their voices continue to be important. Maxine Waters, who has been out there for a really long time and has continued, even in this era, to kind of step up and say that she's a voice for the voiceless and in defense of democracy. And so there are many, many people who I think are doing this kind of important work.
Yes, thank you. And for the people out there that are looking for some hope, do you have a message for them?
Persevere, I think that's the message that we all have to keep in mind. I try to remember that every day.